I had one.
No friends. How's it going? Yeah. It's all good. It'll be fine. So what's up? I got friends. I'm good with it, really.
Yeah,
I'll be here. Mine is the last time. Yeah, but it knows the changes. It's fine. I was for her to know she'll be in the second base.
I was in a message. I know, I had no idea, but she's here.
Or you call and let Kim know. But I'm stopping in tomorrow because Steve is working and Steve can't. They won't work. Yeah.
Oh, Joan.
Yeah.
She's a good name, right?
Yeah, she's in.
Oh, I don't know. I was just fooling around. Look at you.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Board of Education meeting. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Secretary Holmes.
All members are present with the exception of Sutherland.
The approval of the agenda. If there are no changes, the agenda will be approved as presented.
I did have a question.
Okay.
Just a question raised to the board, see if maybe we entertain this. We have the Board of Education trustee vacancy as the number 6 item on the agenda. Might it be more appropriate, and I just want to get some feedback from others, to put it at the end. If we do appoint somebody tonight, then that individual would then be voting on a number of these recommendations that they may not have had an opportunity to thoroughly go through. And I'm just putting this out there. I just thought it would be subject to some conversation. I know we're still waiting for the board trustees to come as well.
Well, that would happen. I guess my thing would be if we were to do that, they would have the opportunity to ask a question. And actually, maybe a nice thing that they could ask questions if they had questions. But I'm good either way. That's
Anybody? Any thoughts either way?
okay. So with that, the agenda is approved. Before we begin, I would like to start tonight to welcome our brand new superintendent, Mr. Scott Lindberg, to Life Sports. comments on action items. There are several items that we are taking action on tonight. If there are any comments from the audience on action items, now would be the time to speak. At this time, I don't know if action will be taken on the board member vacancy or not. So if your comment would be about that, I'd like to hold that off and see. Other than that, if you do have any comments that you'd like to make on items we have under new business that we'll be taking action on, now would be the time if you'd like to speak. On an action item?
On an action.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Let me first ask you, is there a time limit?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Well, as you know, I was cut off in the middle of the story when I was making a presentation to you 2 nights ago, so I thought I'd finish the story.
Well, actually...
Well, it's about an action item. It's
Okay.
about the vacancy, and you say you're going to push the vacancy off. When I'm done, you'll understand why I want to speak now, and I'll resolve the problem for you as I speak. You can let me speak?
Well, but if is it on an action item? That
Yes, it's on the action item of appointing a vacancy, filling the vacancy.
Okay, but I don't know if we're going to be taking action on that item tonight.
Well, what do you want me to do? Wait till the end of the meeting to make these comments?
If we see that we're going to take action on that item, I will open it up for
Yeah.
audience
Well, it won't
comments.
involve me, so maybe you'd let me speak now.
Well, I'd rather, it wouldn't be fair to everybody else. So if you wait to see if we take action item on that, then you're welcome to speak.
What will my time limit be at that time?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Same we give for everyone.
Okay,
Okay?
I'll wait till the end then.
Wonderful. Is there anybody else that would wish to speak on an action item? Okay. That brings us to the Board of Education trustee vacancy. Just a little background. On June 21st, member Mary Bargon resigned from the board. She moved to Traverse City. So at that time, the district put out notice to the community that we would take letters of interest and resumes to fill the vacated position. We have 30 days to take care of that. If we cannot do it within 30 days, it would go to Oakland Schools, where they would then make the decision. The district put out a notice. We received letters of interest from 15 people for the position, and I just wanted to, again, publicly name them and thank them for putting their name out there to be a part of this board. At times it's a difficult position to be in, and you know, to be willing to serve on this board, be a part of it, takes a lot, and it takes a lot of other people. So I just want to again thank Linda Barnes, Kyle Bryant, Margaret Bryce, Pat Donahue, John Himmelsbaum, Joanne Kohler, Eric Lindemeyer, Peter Merrick, Virginia Pullman, Michael Ristage, Karen Ross, Emily Roth, Louis Schimmel, Grant Smith, and Kristen Wagner. We certainly appreciate it. After we received the 15 names, this board got together about a week ago and had a meeting, had discussion. We narrowed it down to 5 people that we would like to have interviews with. 2 nights ago on Tuesday, we had an interview with each candidate and had some discussion. We were not able to come to a decision that evening. So if there is action or any comments tonight, we can do that, and if not, it will, as of midnight Saturday, go to Oakland Schools, and they will be the ones to determine. And so we'll go from there. But I will say that throughout the process, the board has been very professional, very respectful, despite our differences at times. We've had good conversation, we've had good dialogue, and I certainly appreciate the work of every board member up here, giving their time and their due diligence to try to come to a conclusion. So At that point, are there any board member comments?
During the past 3 meetings, we have discussed the appointment of a person to the vacant position on our board. Some have said we can't vote for people who are our friends, yet they are friends with several candidates. Others have stated we didn't need someone with knowledge of curriculum, mental health, counseling, and special education because we have amazing people in central office. Then some people voted for a person who offered to dig into our budget and help pinch every penny. Bill Holbrook and his very competent team are still in central office. Some people also voted for a person who referred to kids as gifted and ungifted, which left a bad taste in my mouth. I am not political and never will be. I am a truth seeker, plain and simple. Although I believe Margaret Bryce is the exact person for this district, others do not, which puts us in a predicament. Last night, John Paul and I had a conversation with an intelligent man who has kids in this district. A man who looked me in the eye and promised me that he would never vote on conjecture or rumors, only the facts. A man who is not my friend, who I never met before last night. I ran him on a platform of transparency, honesty, and truth, and I believe those who voted for me would expect me to choose someone like myself. In the interest of moving forward, with the support of Margaret Bryce, to support our new superintendent, whom I believe is going to do amazing things, I would like to submit a motion to nominate Mike Ristich for the seat vacated by Mary Bargon. Mr. Ristich, I am taking you at your word that you will only vote on fact, that you will say what you mean and mean what you say. So with that, I would like to submit a motion to nominate Mike Ristich for the vacant seat on the school board.
Okay, there has been a motion and support. I guess before I take board member comments and we take a vote, because now it will be an action item, I will open up the floor to the community if you wish to speak on this action item. Mr. Schimmel, would you like to come up?
Mr. Pickett, at the meeting last Tuesday night when I was cut off, I just would like to make a quick suggestion. In my career, which is long, and I've held many meetings like you're holding tonight, when somebody is making a point and they're in the middle of a sentence, I always gave them another 10 or 15 or 20 seconds, or I said to them, finish up on your point and we'll move on. So I just make that as a suggestion. You might want to think about that going forward. When I was in the middle of my comments about outsourcing, I wanted to finish up by saying that people often talk to me about outsourcing, and I want to tell you that in my long career, I did probably more insourcing than I did outsourcing. In the city of Pontiac, I turned over the entire water and sewer system to Oakland County, which is probably one of the best run water and sewer systems in the nation. I also merged the Waterford Fire Department with the Pontiac Fire Department. I don't call that outsourcing, I call that merging, keeping municipal employees rather than outsourcing them. And I could go on about that and many other things, but I don't think you're really interested in that, but I just wanted to clear that one point up. And I also wanted to clear up something else. I felt the format was fine for probably most everybody, but it wasn't fine for me. I want to clear this up too, I turned in my resume and requested to be on the board because, as I said, this, as we all know, is a very fractured board. And I felt that I would be able to say that I have no intentions to stay on the board. I don't really want to be on the board. I was really offering my services as a longtime financial guy. I felt that as a finance guy, and with all my other experience, a few months of me to try to steady things down on the board and get everybody on the same page and vote together on things and support the district rather than play around with $3 taco items would be much more important to the board, and I thought maybe I could pull the board together, and I expressed that at that time. But, so that was my idea. I was hoping to submit it, have you give me a yes or no, and I'd move on one way or the other. You've decided not to do that, which is just fine. But I do want to point out that I want to address these comments mainly to you, Mr. Piggott, and also to you, Ms. Joslin, and to you, John Paul Torres. When you talked about in the interviews about people's experience in education, I think it would be good for you to understand, and I think many conferences you go to would also say this, that board members for a school district shouldn't be politicians. This is not the place to be a politician. This is the place to support staff, support teachers, and do the best thing you can for students and not be politicians. And board members don't have to be educators. They need to bring their skills, whatever they are, from various walks of life to the board. My particular skills are not education at all. I wasn't a professor, I wasn't a teacher, I was just a lover of kids. And I have great background, I believe, in finance. And I think most people recognize that I probably know a little bit about finance, having bailed out 4 cities in the state of Michigan. So, Mr. Piggott, I thought a finance guy would be of some interest to you. Obviously, the board, or at least 3 of you, are more interested in nitpicking little items. You don't know how to keep track of, in your case, Mr. Piggott, you don't even know how to keep track of $11,000. And I would suggest you probably don't have a lot of knowledge of dealing with $1 million budgets. And you, Ms. Joslin, are spending most of your time being very critical, and you're out for blood to get administrators, and the statements you just made tonight indicate you're not supportive, you're out to create problems. And you, Mr. Torres, are so full of yourself that you ought to consider going out in the outside and joining the politicians that are running for city, village, township, Congress, or something. You really are not interested in students. You're interested more in making a name for yourself. So I just want to say that I fully support the comments that were made by your previous superintendent. I went back and watched that meeting. I saw what he said. And some of the items he said, I fully and wholeheartedly endorse. Such things as this possibly, as he pointed out, is probably the worst school board in the state of Michigan. You are micromanagers. You aren't willing to let the staff and the administration and those people that are hired run this district. You want to run it yourself. You're more interested in yourself than you are in teachers and students. You are very unprofessional, you're embarrassing, and you're all about yourselves. So with that, I decided I should come here and tell you those are my feelings. You've lost sight, or maybe you never considered the concept of being part of a team. You need to change the district and support staff. You need to support teachers, not attack them. So with that, I want to tell you, I could see no way of pulling this board together with the 3 of you. I think Mr. Piggott, Ms. Joslin, and Mr. Torres, you ought to take yourselves and look in the mirror. That's what's wrong with Waterford School District. The Board of Education. I totally agree with the previous superintendent. And with that, I want to tell you, please withdraw my name from consideration. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments from the audience regarding this action? An action item? I think I have a green card from you, but that's about a non-action item.
Okay, I would like to comment on the vacancy.
Okay.
want to make it known that I have, that Margaret Bryce has my full support. May I see a show of hands of how many teachers are, or former teachers are on this board? That's what I thought. Margaret Bryce has been a part of this district for many, many years. She loves Waterford schools. She knows about general education, she knows about special education, and she supports teachers. She supports students. And if there are no other teachers who are candidates, I don't know. But if she's the only one, then she's your only choice.
Are there any other audience members that would like to make comments? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I will open it up to any comments from members of the board at this time. Mr. George.
So we still have the motion on the floor.
Yes, we do.
Just want to talk a little bit about my first choice, Margaret Bryce. She was the individual who I had at the top of my list for those very reasons that the woman stated just a few moments ago. The years of background in education, being a teacher, being a counselor, strong foundation in the community, 30 plus years. I really believe that she would bring a plethora of insight, knowledge to this district, and being somebody who's been on the front lines as a teacher, who's been in the schools, as a counselor. I wholeheartedly believe that she was doing this in this for the right reasons. We had a number of very qualified and a strong pool of candidates, 15 candidates, and we narrowed it down to 5, and every single one of them was qualified to do this job. But at the end, we do have to come to a consensus and make a decision on who we are to choose to be the next school board trustee. In our capacity as school board members, we are charged with doing a number of things, and we often say appointing the superintendent is at the top of that list. But in this unique case, appointing a school board member also becomes a very important thing. This is not something that school boards always get to do. Part of what I believed in the process was that it should be transparent, it should be open, we should have an opportunity to ask questions. I do give a lot of credit to my fellow board members. We had discussions through the process to the candidates who answered many of our questions and our follow-up questions and our follow-ups to our follow-up questions. I do believe everybody on this board did the research on the candidates that they would consider. It's no secret that we decided amongst our board that there were certain candidates that we could not agree to, but we had to have a consensus. And I will say some of those conversations that we had with each other weren't always exactly the way that they were respectful, but they were sometimes point by point where you're having a debate on issues. But that's okay. That's part of the process. So when I look at the candidates and I look at a second and a third choice, there was no secret that my second choice was Eric Lindmeyer. But we also look at the fact that we have to have people who are going to come forward who we can agree to as a board that can allow us to continue to do the work that we need to do. The anger, the jabbing at each other, all of that, that's something that I think this board has agreed to just say that we are going to look at in the rearview mirror in the past. I've always said, I think everybody on this board is in it for the right reasons. We start at point A and we're trying to get to point B. And it's just how we get from point A to point B is where we don't agree. And that's where it happens. Because we all, at the end of the day, we're all looking at quality education for our kids, right? And we're all trying to get there. But how we see that is very different. And as a board, it's going to take some time for us to reflect on each other on how we can do that. So this motion has been presented, and I did have the opportunity, as Ms. Jocelyn had stated, I know other board members have had that opportunity as well, to sit and talk and speak with Mr. Ristich, and I also went back and spoke with Mr. Lindmeyer, who were the two candidates that I was very interested in considering, and Ms. Bryce as well, to ask more questions. I wanted to do my due diligence. In speaking with Mr. Ristich, there are a number of things that are very impressive about him. His background, teaching at the collegiate level and higher education, his educational attainment, his being a product of the Waterford schools, him having children in the Waterford schools, him having a close family member working for the Waterford schools. Had met him 9 years ago when he ran for school board in 2010, and I had a very good interaction with him. We spent quite a bit of time actually at a poll together. So I was very impressed with him. For that, I am going to support him tonight. I think he is the right fit that we need for our board. When I looked at who we would appoint, I wanted somebody who had some background in education. The woman here asked if any of us had any teaching background, and I have at the collegiate level, but not K-12. But one of the things that was very interesting when I talked with Mr. Ristich the other evening was one of the things that we commonly see. We see students that come into our classes that aren't college ready. They shouldn't have even graduated high school. And you wonder about that, and you think about that, and you worry about that, about the future of our K-12 education, and what kind of school system, what kind of school district would allow somebody to graduate high school without having the level of attainment that they would need to be a successful adult. And that's one of the things that scares me. It scares me not only about Waterford, and I don't think we're there, but it scares me about any school district out there in America. And one of the points in the conversation that I had with Mr. Ristich was he talked about the various students that he gets that come to Michigan State. Me being at a community college, I get students who are generally looking at a different path or looking to go to achieve to a university level. So, but I really do think he has a tremendous background. I had an opportunity to speak with Ms. Sutherland today too as well, and she has made some good points about various candidates and various things, and I appreciated that conversation that I had with her. So one of the things that I would like people to realize, whether we come to a decision tonight or not, is that this board did work together collectively, I do believe, through this process, as we did through the superintendent search. And with that, I will also support Mr. Ristich tonight for the vacancy for Waterford School. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
The process, my concern with a person that hasn't been a school board member is when I came in, it would always come in thinking that we're running the district. And again, I only had one candidate, I didn't have a second. But my one candidate now is dropped out of the race, so I had two people tied for third. And Mike is one of them, if that makes it all move along. That's what I will support. But again, Luke Schimmel was someone that has never lost an election. He was a former school board member, understands the process and what it takes to be a school board member. He was very sorry that we lost him with talent. I wasn't concerned with the going to local schools because I don't know of anyone that could, outside of our group, look at him in his credentials and say, this is a no-brainer. This man can save the communities. He works on both sides of the table and is highly respected. It wasn't no politics. It just, but he's quit. He's dropped out of our race. So we don't have anyone else. Mike was, right there. So
I'd just like to reiterate, I think all the candidates were phenomenal. Appreciate them offering to come and serve on this board. I think everybody brings different skills and different experiences, not one better than the other. And I am grateful that so many people want to serve and hang around with us. So, but with that, I am exceptionally happy to be able to support Mike. I think he will be a phenomenal addition to this group, that it passes in. But it was important to me to just express to everybody that I think you're all phenomenal, and I truly appreciate you coming forward. That's important to say.
As everyone else has spoken, and I was going to say these comments afterwards, but it appears that it's a foregone conclusion. And so, Mr. Richard, I'm just delighted, and I want to thank you very much. I know that you spent a lot of time with board members, and you also prepared a significant amount of information material, and obviously spent a great deal of time on your application process and on the follow-up information that you provided to us. I know that I've spoken with you, I think, only when we ran together back in 2008, but I know that your interest in this community runs deep, and just absolutely thrilled to be here and to be able to support you. I also echo the comments of my fellow board members that, and as we said on the last two meetings as well, each of the last two meetings, that what an extraordinary community to have so many amazing candidates come forward and want to serve this community in this important capacity. It is sometimes a thankless job. I imagine those of you that come to board meetings have a sense of that, and those of you that have put your name in the hat have a sense of that. And still, you're willing to say, I want to be part of this. I want to affect change for our kids. And that's an incredibly powerful, powerful message that you send to the entire community. I applaud you for that. Again, amazing candidates, and I'm super excited to support Mike Ristich as well.
And I will also agree with all candidates. I think Mike Ristich is an outstanding choice. Personally, I first met Mike 9 years ago in 2010, and I thought he was an outstanding human being at that point, and I felt he would be a great school board member at that point. I am excited to have him to be part of this board. I think he will be a huge asset to not only this board, but to this district and to this community. He has a great family, married, kids in the district. Mom and dad are very involved. He's a great family guy, very smart man, and I think he will bring just so much to this board that I also will be supporting Mike. So looking forward to having him part of this team.
Now we need to make it official.
Yep, so with that, all in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations. Megan is here, and she can give you the oath and have you sign a document, and we have a seat ready for you to come up and start right now.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of member of the Board of Education
of the office of member of the Board of Education
of Waterford School District, Michigan,
of Waterford School District, Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Ready to go? So at the end, Mike, when we get toward the end of our agenda, there's an item or a spot for board members to make comments. So I'll wait and let you, if you wish to make a comment. Okay. All right. So with that, we will move on to the election of officer or treasurer. Mary Bargan was our treasurer. With her resignation, we need to fill that spot. So this time, we will accept nominations for the office of treasurer. Mr. Petrucci.
Nominate Member Sullivan.
Second.
Member Sutherland. All right. Do we have any other nominations for office of treasurer? Okay. With that, we will close the nominations. All those in favor of Member Sutherland for treasurer? Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations, Mrs. Sutherland.
Thank you all. I sincerely appreciate it.
I'll give you the treasurer's packet.
All right. Well,
There
thank
you
you.
go.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your vote of support. It's a great deal.
With that, we will go to information items, 2019-2020 short-term borrowing resolution. Mr. Holbrook and Mrs. Digger. Oh. All right.
Based on cash flow projections, the administration has determined it necessary to borrow $7.8 million, up to $7.8 million for short-term borrowing, based on those cash flow projections. This short-term borrowing for the 19-20 fiscal year will be repaid in September of 2020. Okay? There's a couple things. Historically, the district has always borrowed. Last year, we will be borrowing $2 million less than last year. That's a good thing. So based on that, the sale and close will be in September. And a couple points to look at. Basically, the timing of payrolls, when there are 3 payrolls in 1 month, necessitate us to have cash flow borrowing, and also the state aid. So when we do not get state aid in one of the most important times of the year, September, this necessitates this also.
Are there any questions?
I just want to say, you know what, I wondered on here, thank you for answering every question, that was fantastic. I'm sure other people that read it are like, why are we borrowing money when we have a fund balance? So, excellent answer, thank you.
So,
When this goes out for bids, will we know the actual interest rate, and will that be something that comes to us as an action item in our next meeting?
We won't know those until the sale in September. So this will come back, the resolution will come back at the next meeting for approval, but we won't know those interest rates until this.
Current estimate is around 2%.
Mr. Petrucci.
And again, I think I've seen this as high as 12. So it's good to see it down. Is it because we have less employees?
Actually, it's been as high as 16.4.
So I mean, that's, again, our fund balance is up. So again, that helps. If we have a larger fund balance.
Correct. Two things help it, the fund balance and also expenditures, reduction of expenditures.
If we would have had, if we had a 15, 20 million in our fund balance, we wouldn't have to borrow anything. And again, the $60,000, $80,000 that we would have paid interest would have paid a teacher. But to justify people not seeing a raise in 15 years, I can't have a $20 million fund balance.
There's always a sweet spot in your fund balance as to when you have to borrow and when you don't.
Will we be doing the selling of the bonds ourselves, or will we be helping us with that as in previous years? Is that, and I know he does bond things, is this something that he?
Lou is pretty much fully retired out of the business, so he,
okay.
You know, if we have a question, I obviously we can call him, but we still use MFCI, but they've been sold to another organization that Lou supported. He was no longer on the board, he's not tied to them anymore, that sale, but no, we still use that group, and they do the research for us to make sure we're getting things competitively done.
Wonderful, thank you. With that, we'll move forward to food service equipment. Or Mr. Holbrook.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
Yeah, we're out to bid for improvement of our secondary serving lines. We're going to be adding a fruit and vegetable type of bars, and we're also going to improve the line efficiency and really the aesthetics. We really want to improve things. And just to point out, food service department in Waterford is top notch. It's one of the best in the state of Michigan, if not the best. We have a 25% fund balance, which means that we can't legally go higher than that for food service funds from federal, because it's a federally funded program. So we've maximized our fund balance, and we are going to place our resources in many areas. So this is just the start of many improvements to come to our food service department.
Any questions? Oh, Mrs. Sutherland, sorry.
If I was just going to restate what I think I heard, and just for clarification, I want to make sure I got it right. Essentially, what's happening here is our food service is so efficient that we can't show a surplus in that fund, so we're actually going to reinvest the money in food service that came from food service.
Correct. In fact, one of the things the board approved earlier in the year, just a few months ago, was the new food service truck. Now,
I saw out on the road, by the way. Awesome.
Yeah. What's ironic about all of this is just going to make food service that much more efficient, and that's more profitable.
Exactly. So we're going to save more money, and oh, now what do we do?
We ran calculations. One of the things we want to do first is we always hold the price of food for children at the lowest level possible. We have to run a formula and a calculation, and sometimes we have to raise prices on the basis of the state law telling us we have to, but our fund balance dictates us otherwise. So we hold our our food prices, cost for food for kids to the lowest level legally possible.
I know that we do. It's a stellar department, a shining star for Waterford amongst many, and we're just so grateful for our food service department and all that they do for our kids, and to our business services and the food services for keeping those prices at rock bottom, the lowest we can really do. So thank you again for that.
Really appreciate that. If I could add one more thing while we're talking about food service, just to brag a little bit. Food service department in Waterford, we are not the largest district by far in this county, but we serve the most meals in the county.
All of Oakland County, we serve more meals than any of the other 27 school districts in Oakland County.
And that's just a compliment to the people that work very, diligently in the food service. Great.
Any other questions? Thank you. Well, with that, we'll go to the approval of the minutes. Secretary Holmes.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the June 20th, 2019 regular meeting and the special meetings held July 11th and 16th, 2019. I so move.
Been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? All those in favor? All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Accounts payable. Treasurer Sutherland.
Accounts payable for June 2019 is recommended that the Board of Education approve the check and electronic funds transfer register for the month of June 2019 as listed on pages 1 through 198, as well as the P-card account statement that's listed on the last 3 pages, and I so move.
Support. Been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. School district financial statement. Treasurer Sutherland.
Yes, the June 30th, 2019 financial statements will be presented by Yo and Yo as part of the audit, and that will occur at the October 17th, 2019 board meeting.
Support staff report. Secretary Holmes.
The Board is in receipt of the support staff report for June 2019.
Thank you. And with that, we'll go to new business. Secretary Holmes.
Superintendent's recommendation 1-19-20, the area newspaper to publish official board notices. It is recommended that the Board of Education designate the open press for publication of legal notices for the 2019-2020 school year. I so
support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's recommendation 2-19-20, appointment of legal counsel. It is recommended that the Board of Education hereby recognize and appoint the law firms presented at 2019-2020 approved legal counsel for the Waterford School District to be utilized as determined by the superintendent of schools or designee. I so move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? Mr. Zores.
I had a question. There was some talk last year about the legal representation in the costs that is entailed and the amount of monies that we spend. We did see some fluctuation up in that. You know, my thought is that if there would be some way if we could get like a quarterly report on what we're spending on legal fees, just so there's some oversight, not any kind of micromanagement to that extent, but some kind of quarterly report of what we're spending every three months or so, so we just know where we're at. And I guess it doesn't have to be.
Right.
It's just a statement.
Sure. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's recommendation 03-19-20 relative to the external auditor. It is recommended that the Board of Education recognize Yo and Yo PC as the external auditor for the 2019-2020 school year. In July 2017, the Board of Education approved the auditing engagement between the Waterford School District and Yo and Yo PC for 3 years, 2018 through 2020, and I so move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? Mr. Petrucci.
We're in an agreement for 3 years, so do we have to do this? I mean, we entered into an agreement for a 3-year.
I think it's somewhat of a formality, because you're right, we are in a 3-year
I mean,
agreement.
that doesn't mean we can say no, but we already have a contract.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm reading that right.
In the interest of complete transparency, so.
Yeah, there you go, thank you.
Okay.
Well said.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's recommendation 4-19-20, resolution appointment of superintendent or designee to represent the Board of Education in all elections. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following motion. Resolved that the Board of Education appoints Scott A. Lindberg, superintendent of schools, or his designee, William Holbrook, assistant superintendent, business and operations, to represent the board in all elections.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? Mr. Torres.
Let me just get some elaboration on this. I don't know if I fully understand it.
As far as like representation in elections?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, my responsibility is to meet with the township and to coordinate and make sure that they have space available in the hours, and in the same time working with our staff to make sure that, you know, that we have students separated and so forth like that. That's the standpoint. Logistical.
Okay, the logistical. Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, you are giving authority, like if we were to put something on the bond election and so forth, that working with the attorneys and making sure that we have the right language and the verbiage and everything else. Obviously, the board would be involved with that, but you're giving me authority to work with the county to actually make sure it gets on the ballot in the appropriate way.
Okay. And that is important. It protects the integrity of the voting process. I know there's a lot of logistics that go into it. Sometimes precincts change, and generally a lot of the school buildings are precincts. And if people aren't made aware of that on the township end, then that could affect voter turnout and things of that nature. So I just wanted clarification, but I appreciate that.
No, it's also very important in the aspect that when it's an election year, we're, you know, in primaries, for example, if you have an election during the month of August and we've got the building all tore apart, is to pre-plan and make sure that everything's okay, that logistically we have a different voting site, or that the township's working with us to make sure that they have a different voting site.
Thank you.
Mr. Petrucci.
Isn't it also state law that we have to have someone representing us, I believe?
Maybe, I'm not sure about the state.
When I was secretary a long time ago, I had to take a 2-day class because at that time they changed it to the secretary of the board was in charge. And they realized what a mistake that was. So after a 2-day class, we're just, you know, to take it, put it in that person's hands compared to an actual employee of the district.
Sure.
I thought it was a really exciting thing. 2 days in class, I was going to be in charge of things, so they changed it. So we had an election in here.
Any other questions? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's recommendation 5-19-20, authorization to represent Waterford School District in property matters. It is recommended that the Board of Education authorize William Holbrook, Assistant Superintendent, Business and Operations, to represent the Waterford School District Board of Education in all property matters, enabling him to sign board-approved purchase, sale, and lease agreements on the board's behalf. I so move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions?
I just have a quick question. Is this something that we approve every year, or is it because we have a new superintendent?
No, you're approving every year.
Every year at this time? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's Recommendation 6-19-20, School District Legal Reference Note. It is recommended that the board approve this note to be added or attached to the minutes of the July 18, 2019 regular meeting of the Board of Education as a legal reference status of our school district. I so move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. Patricia, I'm just thinking Judy brought up a question and she's new to this. Because this is what we refer to as our house cleaning pretty much. It's the beginning of the year, because our fiscal year just ended, so we start our new year. So this is all the stuff we do every year of the attorneys, all the legal mumbo jumbo stuff, because it's the beginning of the year we started to do. We used to be elected in May and take office the first of June or July, back when the election was that way, because it ran with the school year until the state mandated that we do it in November. When you're coming in halfway through the year and not having any knowledge of how the year started out.
Okay.
So that's what this
Thank
is.
you.
So, Mr. Reese, Dr. you're actually old school and coming in at the perfect time. It's the first meeting of the new fiscal year.
Yeah. That's why we used to do it. You kind of feel like, oh, this, why we do this? This is it. So
Thank you for the explanation.
Mr. Torres.
Question, in there it says vacant term expires 2022. Do we need to amend that or change that? Because we now have no longer have a vacancy.
It will be included in the next minutes with this name.
Okay. So we can vote on it as is.
With his name in there, yes.
Okay.
All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's Recommendation 7-19-20, renewal of memberships. It is recommended that the Board of Education authorize the administration to renew Waterford School District memberships for the 2019-2020 school year and the organizations presented. I so move. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? Mrs. Holmes.
Just know that over the years, at least in the 10.5 that I've been here, we've whittled this down substantially.
Yes.
It's just to be an exceptionally long list. So these seem to be the main, most important ones that we need to participate in. So.
Mr. Torres.
I looked a little bit into the National Association of School Boards just to find out a little bit more about. I'm sure you probably remember this at some point to find out a little bit more about membership benefits and things of that nature. It's quite expensive. It's about $5,000. And I don't know that we used it aside from going to the National Association of School Boards. And I know last year I was able to get a scholarship to attend the conference to help subsidize the cost for it. And thanks to Goslow, the County School Board Association. And that, you know, it was a great conference to attend, and we still were able to attend it because we were members of the National School Board Association. So I looked into it, but when I saw it was possible, I didn't justify it. Really didn't justify it. So.
As Member Halls had mentioned, this list used to be extensive. And again, over the years, the last 15 years, we've been studying. These are the things that come up. There's 2,000 here, 5,000 there. I know I have a real hard time with the PTA being cut out. It just, but as we've cut, it's nothing secret. Everyone gets it. So, again, when we talk about other groups and things that we've talked about in the past, we used to have all very, very large lists. It's done in this bare bones.
Mrs. Sutherland.
I'm not sure if there's anyone, and I apologize, is anything new this this year. I don't recognize anything as being new. I just want to ask if there was any new additions. This is the same. It's all the same. Okay, great. Okay, perfect, thank you.
All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's recommendation 08-19-20, resolution relative to designation of depositories. It is recommended that the board approve the resolution presented designating legal depositories of district money for the 2019-2020 school year. And I so move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's recommendation 09-19-20, summer tax collection board resolution. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the 2019-2020 summer tax collection resolution as presented before us. I so move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's recommendation 10-19-20, retirements, resignations, leave of absence exclusions. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the resignations, retirements as presented. I so move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's recommendation 11-19-20, teaching contract changes and appointments. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the teaching contract changes and appointments for the 2019-2020 school year as presented. I so move.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions? Mrs. Holmes.
I would just like to acknowledge on a personal level that a former Waterford Coalition for Youth volunteer has now been hired, and I think that's amazing that she's come back to be a teacher. So good for her.
Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Superintendent's recommendation 12-19, oh, sorry, did I probably need to go next?
No, your consideration is first, is treasurer of supplement.
Okay. Superintendent's recommendation 12-19-20, asbestos tile removal at Mott High School cafeteria. The administration recommends the awarding of a contract for asbestos tile removal in the Mott High School cafeteria to Total Environmental Services in the total bid amount of $16,750. The funding source is the 2016 Bond Series 4, and I so move.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any comments or questions?
This is the cheapest of the group, and this isn't something I always want to be cheapest on. So I mean, have we worked with them before? Do they have a decent record? I mean, there's 16 and one of them is 42.
Yeah, we have not worked with this group before, but when we do these kind of projects, the important thing in this project is not the aspect of who's doing this part of work, but who's monitoring and overseeing to make sure that this work gets done. And that's Nova Environmental Services. They do air sampling, they do they make sure that the area is contained, and they also make sure that all state law regulations are being followed by this contractor. They've worked with this company before, and they've given the green light on this company.
So they're a real company?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. 16,000 or 42,000. I like the outcome of just, are they
Julie? When are they going to do this?
As soon as it'll be done before school starts.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all summer work.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Could I add a comment? I mean, not change the vote or anything. I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. When, as part of our purchasing protocols, we go out there and we look at the cost of this. This originally was above board approval. So we had to reverse everything and go back to going out for bid. Well, the bids came back and this company showed up with a lower bid. Technically, this doesn't need to be approved by the board because of the bid threshold. So I want to make sure that the board doesn't wonder why don't we bring other, say something for $15,000 or something like that. Or this is below the state law for thresholds. But for full transparency, we put it out there as information originally and then it came in. So I wanted to follow through with an action item.
Wonderful. Thank you. And with that, we will go to audience comments on non-action items. Comments on non-action items. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to address the board, I ask that you please be reminded that comments should be directed to the board and are limited to 5 minutes in duration. Participants are asked to avoid statements that are personally directed, abusive, or obscene. I have one green card, Jennifer Jaworski.
Some of you may remember me. My name's Jennifer Jaworski, and I'm really good friends with former board member Robin McGregor. God bless her, I'm a seasoned campaigner. I actually love going door to door talking to people. My maiden name is Charbonneau, and my dad and our family are very well respected in this district. He was part of PTOs, he coached sports, he was on the very first committee for the all-night party after graduation. If you were here in 2013, you will remember my son at graduation. He was recovering, 2-year recovery from surgery, and was able to get out of his wheelchair and walk across the stage with help, and he got a standing ovation. Kind of hard to forget that. To show my credibility here, my dad encouraged me to be a teacher, and I like to go above and beyond. I did guest speaking at Oakland University for a couple different professors, actually spoke at conferences about reading and comprehension, and I had several students who gained 1 to 6 years improvement in one school year. I loved my job. I was very proud of being one of 4 committee members that designed a health and sex educational program for the special education students in Huron Valley schools. That was great. That was only one of the many things that I did. Unfortunately, I now suffer from PTSD, thanks to your new superintendent. I received glowing evaluations my first few years when I taught. My first principal was very difficult, but I was the very first special education teacher she actually tenured. Unfortunately, my last year, I was harassed, bullied, all over and over again. And he can tell you whatever he wants to about me. I'll go to counseling every week instead of every other week. Half of it might even be true. But I'm concerned about the teachers and students in this school district. My son has 2 more years in the post-secondary special education program, which is called Life Tracks. And I want it on record that you will not have anything to do with my son, his classmates, his teachers, social worker, physical therapists, job coaches, parapros. Nothing. They reside in the administration building. I don't know if you've made any changes in yourself, but I am very concerned about the school district.
Is there anyone else that would wish to address the board?
Okay. My name is Jessica Pumphrey. I wanted to start out by welcoming Mr. Lindberg. Sorry, this is really awkward right now. I wanted to welcome Mr. Lindberg and Dr. Ristich for, is that the right way to say your name, Ristich?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I wanted to welcome you guys to your first meeting. Thank you for being here. And I really wanted to thank the 6 of you that voted for Dr. Ristich, because you went above what you wanted and you looked at what was best for the district, was best for my kids and what was best for everybody. And I'm kind of surprised. I'm not gonna lie, pleasantly surprised, and I really, really appreciate it. I'm very, very hopeful that this is the new beginning we need. We have a new superintendent, we have a new board, well, you know. And I'm really, really hopeful that this is our new beginning so we can mend fences and stop referring to ourselves as a fractured board. And we need to be whole again. And I really, really hope that this is the new beginning for that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would wish to address the board? That, we will go to our very first superintendent's report by Mr. Lindberg.
All right, well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have really been on the job for really about the last 2 months. We have been meeting with many of the staff members. I've met with cabinet, I've met with board members, whether that was one-on-one or with others. We're going to continue to do that. So I'm in a phase right now of listening and learning, just to get a good gauge on the culture of the district, on some of the challenges, on the opportunities that we have. And I want to say that all of my meetings have been very positive. Some may say the board is fractured. I don't see that. I see, as has been mentioned tonight, I see 6, now 7 individuals that have the utmost concern and care for our students and staff at heart. We have some challenges, but the way we're going to do that is come together, as I talked about in the interviews, as a team of 8. I'm going to be proposing some things with the board in a communication either tomorrow or Monday on some things that I'd like to start to look at on how do we come together, how do we do the collaboration, and how do we have the discussions in a manner which really we've done. If you take a look at tonight's board meeting, I just kept going 7-0, 7-0, 7-0, and that started with a 6-0 support for our new board member tonight. And if you had been at Tuesday's night meeting, you might not have predicted that. But I know that behind the scenes, these good people were talking and working together and trying to find the best way forward. And if there is one example that I've seen, this is it. That through disagreements and through some interests, we have found a way to move forward, and that is the only way forward. And so I'm excited to be here. There is lots to do. There are plenty of challenges, but I always say on the other side of every challenge, there is an opportunity. So you'll see that we're seated a little differently than what you may have seen previously, and that was purposeful. I am a part of this team. We are a team of 8, as I talked about through the interview process. I want to be open to every one of the board members and what they have to say, and collectively, we will work with my cabinet, with the leadership team, to do what's best for teaching and learning. That is in my DNA. There is no doubt about that. My 25-year professional experience shows that. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you so much again for the opportunity, and good things to come. Thank you so much.
Discussion items, future items include an action item next meeting for 2019-2020 short-term borrowing resolution, and an action item on a contract award for the food service equipment. With that, Board of Education reports. Are there any Board of Education reports? Start.
First of all, I just want to commend one of our teachers, Jason Pratt, who is in Washington, D.C. I think still right now, he's advocating for the continuation of the visual and performing arts in our schools at a federal level. It is a high honor that he was asked to participate. I will say it is their honor that they got him, because he is an extraordinary educator in the Waterford schools, and he cares deeply about our schools and about our kids. And for him to be on the national stage, not just representing Waterford, but most importantly, representing all kids, is just a really powerful, powerful sign of what it's like to be in Waterford. And just so proud of him and want to thank him for going above and beyond in that regard. Also just wanted to say, you know we're halfway through July, and I look out and see teachers and administrators, and I do hope that our staff members are kicking back, relaxing, spending some time in flip-flops, and enjoying the summer. the incredible amount of work and responsibility that goes on is extraordinary throughout the school year. So we certainly wish all of you some time, much deserved time. And yet, even so, and certainly wish that, many teachers are volunteering for the Sweet Reads program. And we see that truck going through our neighborhoods, giving ice cream and books to students in order to try to stem the summer learning loss that occurs, and to make sure that they have access to reading materials, and to do it in a fun way that says, yes, you matter to us, we are still here even though it's summer, and we care about you. Those relationships, that communication is an incredibly powerful thing. I know that was a recognized program, and it got all kinds of awards, as do many of the things that happen here in Waterford, and just rightfully so, because what a great sign of summer that our kids are getting books and ice cream. And also through that partnership with the Waterford Foundation for Public Education and the Mary Lou Simmons Foundation that helped to make all of that possible. So that's it.
I forgot last month, but I know this month, asking a couple of people that were in school when I was there. The first one was Mrs. Davis. She was the lunchroom person, the recess lady, mom of one of my good friends. She was just a great person that was at Williams Lake back in the 60s, early 70s. She was just a lot of fun. She had 4 sons. I think that's what she did, and I think they all become doctors. Very successful family. I think my bishop was just a great lady. I think she was 95 or 96. Her husband is still going at over 100, so they're doing well too. And the other one just passed this past week, Mr. Down. He was the woodshop teacher at Piers back in the early 70s when I was there. And he was the traditional woodshop teacher. He was missing a few digits. And he was just a fun guy. If it wasn't square, that box you're making, and it sounds easy now, I can do these things. But back then, you had to do this for him. And he was just the guy to do it. And he went on, I was going to check with Megan this week, but I forget things. He went on to become principal. I can't remember where. Was it Prairie? And he just, a great family. Just a good guy that always had good things to say. He was just very upbeat. Had a funny little wave, but it was just a great guy. So I just wanted to shout out to the 2 people that will be missed.
Mr. Torres. I just wanted to take a moment, again, like everyone else, to welcome Dr. Ristich to our board. You're going to be a fantastic addition. And as you see, it was mentioned by our superintendent that this board has come together on 2 major decisions over the past couple of months, appointing a new superintendent and appointing a new board member. So I'm really encouraged by what I see tonight. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster of a night, I guess, right? But the good things prevail. Remember those things. And I'm really excited to get this new board. We are a new board. We have 1 new board member. We are new. A new board collaboratively working together, and our new superintendent as well. And one of the other things is Dr. Ristich, he has a dissertation that I'm extremely interested in. So I was doing research on him, and it's entitled American Anarchism and the End of Radical Politics. And so I actually called him on my way in to talk to him a little bit more about his dissertation. And I'm going to get it. I had to pay for it online if I was going to get it through some kind of journal thing. So, but that's the caliber of individual we have, and it really does excite me. I think you're great. Some fantastic ideas and opportunities.
I think you're probably the only one who's ever said they've been excited about that thing. Thank you.
Julie?
Yeah. I hope that we all just start calling ourselves healing. Not fractured, not divided, we're just healing. Another thing, I forgot the flyers, so I'm hoping you guys can help me out with this. We received the district email about their collecting crayons, pencils, all this stuff. You can drop it off at the Waterford Library. For those of you guys that do not receive the district email, you maybe don't have kids in the district, but they're at the library. They're at Prairie, you can drop them off, and they're taking just about anything they want. Highlighters, dry erase. I think we have that on our website if anybody needs to look it up, but spiral notebooks, anything. Now is the time, about 2 weeks, everything's gonna go on sale at Myers, so you can get crayons for like 25 cents. So if you got a couple extra bucks in your pocket, just we'd appreciate it if you go buy us some crayons. Lastly, I'm gonna date myself and give away my age. Waterford Mott, class of 1989. It is our 30-year anniversary, and we are all getting together at the Sharks Club on August 3rd at 6 p.m. We, in our graduating class, had close to 400 kids, and we have only located through Everbright and Facebook 190 some kids. So if you're watching this and you have kids in the district but they're out of the area, they can contact me, Barb Chick Sias, Julie Post Powers, Heather Martin. I think Shereen Ogg has been commenting on there. So please get a hold of us or just show up. It's going to be a good time. I'm bringing my yearbooks, and I'm really excited. So.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome. That's really heartwarming. For those of you who don't know me, I want to give a little bit of background on myself. I'm a longtime Waterford resident. I graduated from Waterford Kettering in 2001. I went to Western Michigan for my undergrad. I did graduate work at Wayne State, and I'm currently a faculty member in the Department of Writing, Rhetoric, and American Cultures at MSU.
Go green.
So not you about it. Not you about it.
And I've always tried to make it clear that so much of my ending up where I am today is the result of this community and the education I achieved here. And so I always try to make that clear because we have strengths here. And to echo some of what my colleagues have just said, we're going to shift how we talk about this so that we can shift perspectives too. And so we're going to make sure that we're always talking about potentials, right? And so that's a little bit about me. I also want to say I have two little guys up there, Damien and Oliver.
I think they should stand up.
They're reading.
Oh, they're reading. All right.
We're always reading. They just finished first grade at Knudsen, and we couldn't be happier. We couldn't be happier. You know, Jess and I, who also works in the district, my wife Jessica works in the district, and I always say I have a long drive to MSU, but that long drive is a little sacrifice from an otherwise perfect little life that we live here in Waterford, that we need here in Waterford. And so I always want to share that and to let you know where I'm coming from and the experiences that inform my decisions here. I also want to say, too, I was not anyone's #1 decision. And that's okay. That doesn't hurt my feelings. Because I think being the compromised candidate is a symbolic gesture. And I want to thank my colleagues for that. Because I think that says a lot about where we're already. And I also want to say thank you to Eric and Kristen, my friends and colleagues who I think are going to push us because they seem to be some of the best among us. So I just wanted to say that I learned a lot from spending a couple hours with them chatting. So thank you so much. And again, thank you for the warm welcome and that one said for this movie. So thank you.
And again, I just want to echo pretty much everyone's thoughts. I want to again welcome Scott to this board. We are excited. Many of you know when we got into the superintendent search, with community meetings, with MASB, there was a lot of comments. Was this board capable of coming to an agreement and hiring a superintendent? And we heard all the comments loud and clear. We went and we voted unanimously to hire this guy to be our next superintendent. And then we had the next big challenge, as everyone said. We had to fill a board member. And literally up until we get here at 6:20, and I said hello, and I said, I don't know what's going to happen. We didn't know, but this board came together once again and voted unanimously to put Mike on this board with us. He says that he's a compromise pick. I think he's an outstanding pick. I think He is just outstanding. We are fortunate to have him on this board. And I look at today, it's like a new beginning. We've had a rough couple of years. We've had a really difficult few years. And it's not only been on this board, it's been in our district, it's been in the community, it's been on Facebook. It's been tough. But I know this board is ready to move forward and put the past behind us. I hope everybody else will as well. I hope our staff will. I hope our community will. I hope we all can start getting together, arm in arm, and do what's in the best interest of the kids in this district. We want to, we want nothing but the best, and we're ready to do it. And as I said the other night, I don't know if people heard, but a guy at my work, he said, and he watches all the meetings, but he said, you guys are a little crazy at times, but 96% of your votes, you voted unanimous. And I didn't kind of believe it, but then I started thinking, I thought, well, maybe. And then tonight we've had 15 more votes, and it's been 7-0, unanimous. So there are 8 good people up here, and I know Scott likes to call us a team of 8, and I appreciate that, but I like to call us a team of like 70-some thousand, because we all are on the same team. And if we get together and we put the past behind us, and we quit playing games and move forward and doing what's best, our school district can be so great. And I think it's great already. Our kids have gone here and they're doing great. We all have kids that have been in the district. And I just want to move forward, move together, arm in arm, hand in hand, and I look forward to it, and I hope everybody else will get on board and go with us. So I look forward to the future. I think we're going to do great things, and we're in great shape, and I'm happy to be a part of this team up here. So thank you. With that, we'll go into closed session, and by roll call vote, the Board of Education will recess to closed session in accordance with Section 8 of the Open Meetings Act to consider the written opinion of legal counsel and to discuss negotiations. There will be no further action taken by the board, and the regular meeting will be adjourned at the conclusion of closed session. With that, we'll do a roll call vote. Secretary Holmes.
Mr. Petruccia?
Okay.
Ms. Sutherland? Ms. Pickett?
Yes.
Mr. Torres?
Yes.
Ms. Joslin?
Yes.
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 All right.
My two favorites.